Hare Krishna. So, reading from this book, I'll build you a temple, the Juhu story. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurmitanyena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Gurudasya I think the section which we are reading, the sannyas ceremony was performed of now Yogendra Maharaj. And then starting from page 352. Yeah. Prospect is there everywhere. Pitvite achayate nagaradi gram. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, in as many villages and towns on the surface of the globe, and his word is not a trifling thing, yes, there is a potency in all the parts of the world for people to become Vaishnava. And Prithvite yachayate nagaradi gram sarvatra prachare hobe moranam. From Chaitanya Bhagavat, Antyakand. In as many towns and villages as there are on the surface of the earth, my holy name will be preached. So with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's blessing and spiritual strength, and with the good wishes of Vaishnavas, just proceed and preach and always think of Krishna. He will help. Dadami buddhi yogam tam. If you work sincerely, Krishna is within you. He will give you strength, instruction, simply you have to become. But we should always remember that sannyas means material activities finished. This is sannyas, no more material activities. To live only for the service of Krishna. That's all. Prabhupada asked the disciple to give the danda. In this danda, there are 4 dandas. Dandas means rods. One rod is body, one rod is mind, and one rod is speaking. Kaya mana vakya. And the 4th rod is the self. So you should always remember that taking this danda means that my mind, my body, and my words, everything is dedicated to Krishna. It will be used only for Krishna and for no other purpose. This is called Tridanda Sannyas. Come on. Now Yogendra came forward to accept his danda. Jai, Hari Bol. The devotees cheered. Jai Prabhupada. Chant Hare Krishna, Prabhupada said. Chant Hare Krishna. And the devotees began chanting japa and then had kirtan. So Srila Prabhupada here is performing the ceremony of sannyas ceremony of Now Yogendra Maharaj, and he's giving sannyas to Now Yogendra Maharaj, and he's instructing about the sannyas order, that what sannyas order really means. That ultimately all material activities are finished. We are completely dedicated to Lord Krishna. And that's why they are called as Tridandi Sannyas. The sannyas rod, as Srila Prabhupada mentions, has 4 rods, but Tridandi Sannyas means 3 rods by mind, body, and words. You are dedicated to Krishna. And the 4th rod is the self. When you are completely with mind, body, and words are dedicated to Krishna, then you are completely dedicating yourself. So that's the 4th rod. Right. Yeah. So Now Yogendra Maharaj gets sannyas here. After the ceremony, now Yogendra and Brahmananda went to see Prabhupada in his quarters. Brahmananda told him that he was very kind to have given sannyas to now Yogendra Maharaj. And Prabhupada replied, I am not kind but very cruel. I gave him sannyas and now he cannot gratify his senses. Right. So Srila Prabhupada is saying, I am cruel. I have taken away his gratification of senses because I have given him sannyas, renounced order. Then Srila Prabhupada explains about different ashramas. Brahmacharya, which is based on devotion to the Guru, is the foundation on which sannyas and all other ashrams in Krishna consciousness is built. So the foundation is Brahmacharya ashram. In a later class in April, speaking on Srimad Bhagavatam 7th canto, 12th chapter, 6th verse, Prabhupada focused on the qualities of a brahmachari. He should be daksha, expert, Prabhupada said, and sadadanaha, faithful. He should know something of everything and everything of something. Everything of devotional service. Not that because he has become Krishna conscious, Vaishnava, he is unable to do anything of this material world. No. One who is Krishna conscious is conscious of everything and knows how to deal with everything. That is daksha. Not that because I have become Krishna conscious, I have no knowledge of other things. No, you must know something of everything. That is intelligence. To know something of everything and to know everything of something, that is wanted. A devotee should be expert. You know everything of devotional service, but you know something of everything. That is daksha. So Srila Prabhupada is explaining how a brahmacharya, is completely devoted to the Guru, and he should be daksha, expert, to know something of everything and everything of something. Right, it's a nice phrase, where he should know everything about devotional service, but at the same time he should know something of everything. So he can serve his spiritual master in all the other aspects also. Daksha sadadhanaha, faithful. He should be sadadhana, faithful. Faithful to whom? To the spiritual master. Right? Whatever he says, the brahmachari should take it. Yes, it is my life and soul. Right? That is the explanation given by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. He explains with reference to the words Vyavasatmika Buddhi Ekah Kurunandana, Bhagavad-gita, 2nd chapter, 41st verse. He has taught very, very nicely about Guru. He has written in Guru Vastaka, Yashya Prasadat Bhagavad Prasadaha. He is a practical example of Guru Bhakti. So he said that I am not interested in my salvation, going back to Godhead. It may come, it may not come. That I don't mind. But I am interested only with the words of my Guru. That is my life. Whether I will be successful or not successful, it doesn't matter. I must take the words of my Guru Maharaj as my life and soul. Right? Yeah. How one should be faithful to one's Guru is explained in this verse and commentary of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur on 2nd chapter of Bhagavad-gita, 41st verse. Vyasatmika buddhi eka kurunandana. Where Srila Prabhupada elsewhere mentioned that the commentary of that particular verse by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur moved him That's day or night. The orders of my spiritual master is my life and soul. Right? Yeah. It may come, it may not come. That I don't mind, but I am interested only with the words of my Guru. That is my life. Whether I will be successful or not successful, it doesn't matter. I must take the words of my Guru Maharaj as my life and soul. And that kind of, the commentary of that verse prepared him that his spiritual master's instruction about preach to the West. So he took it. Actually, that is the secret of success. Yasya deve parabhakti yata deve tata garu tasyaiti katitahi artha prakashante mahatmana. Svita Svitara Upanishad, 6th chapter, 23rd verse. Unto those great souls who have implicit faith in both the Lord and the spiritual master, all the imports of Vedic knowledge are automatically revealed. That is the secret of success. Saddadhana, to accept the words of Guru very, very faithfully. Right? Having implicit faith both in Guru and Krishna is mentioned nicely in this verse. When we have that implicit faith, automatically all the imports of Vedic knowledge are revealed. Right? A disciple does not have to externally strive, right, for that knowledge. If he just faithfully, with full determination, serves his spiritual master and Krishna, to him automatically those imports of Vedic knowledge are revealed. Later that day, Prabhu Vishnu arrived from England. We were looking for a manager to help me. I wanted to be free to preach. Prabhupada knew as much, and also that in some respects, I wasn't such an expert manager. I understood that Prabhu Vishnu's GBC authority, Jaya Tirtha, would want him back. And that generally, outside India, Prabhupada did not do anything independent of the local GBC or against their wishes. But in this case, he told Prabhu Vishnu that it would be best if he stayed in India and that he would take care of Jayatirtha. I was again struck by how important India, Juhu, was to Prabhupada, that he would make such an exception. So for Juhu, Srila Prabhupada made that exception that though Prabhu Vishnu was working under Jayatirtha, the local GBC, Srila Prabhupada did not consult the local GBC, which otherwise you would follow that protocol, but just directly mentioned to Prabhu Vishnu to stay back and help the Juhu project, especially when Giriraj Maharaj needed extra hand in management. Within a few hours of when I landed, Prabhu Vishnu recounted, Prabhupada called me to his room and asked, "How are things in London? Everything is all right?" I replied, he said, "It is nice that you have come to India. Now you manage this temple, Juhu temple." When I first arrived, I thought I might not stay that long in India and that I'd be going back to England, but Prabhupada said, "You are needed here." Prabhupada appointed Prabhu Vishnu Vice President of Juhu, and shortly thereafter Prabhu Vishnu and I walked over to Prabhupada's flat together to ask him some questions. Prabhupada listened patiently and sympathetically and gave us the information we needed. Back in our quarters, Prabhu Vishnu and I discussed further and realized that we had more questions So we went back to Prabhupada and again he patiently replied. Right. Then again back in our quarters, we realized that we had still more questions. So again we went back to Prabhupada and again he answered us. SriSriRadhaRasbihariTemple. When we went yet again for the fourth time, however, Prabhupada got angry. I have appointed you president and vice president to deal with these matters, he said, and you have many other leaders to help you. So you should be able to figure these things out for yourself. I am not a question answering machine. Right. So Srila Prabhupada cleared the equations first time, second time, third time. But again when they approached, we immediately say, I am not a question answering machine. You should figure out. Every afternoon, Prabhu Vishnu went with a Harinam party to Vilepala or Santa Cruz, near the train station, chanting and distributing books. But he found managing in Bombay challenging. I was fine with the climate and accommodations, he remembered. But what I found austere was going on the train into the city every day, packed up like sardines, and then sitting in offices and waiting and being given excuses, and especially in government offices, waiting for hours for some official to come. Then being given the runaround and told to come back the next day. So I became more inclined to go for some preaching activity. I asked Prabhupada if I could get more into book distribution. He said, what do I like better, temple management or book distribution? And I said, book distribution. And I said, book distribution, Srila Prabhupada. And he said, all right, manage the temple for some time, and then you can go on book distribution. I'll show you how to put the books in colleges and libraries throughout the country. I had never imagined that kind of book distribution. The library party hadn't started in India, but it was like Prabhupada could see what was going to happen. And he said, you stay and manage for now, and you will get the chance. And after some time, the library party did begin. And I got the chance to go. And we actually traveled all over India and put his books in the universities and libraries. Right. So, Prabhu Vishnu Maharaj was interested in book distribution. So, Srila Prabhupada asked him, what is he interested in, management or book distribution? He said, book distribution. And Prabhupada said, yeah, all right. Right now, focus on management. Because you are needed, focus on management. Later on, I will show you how to distribute books in libraries. Prabhupada could foresee how books can be kept in different libraries. Right. And we see that after focusing time in management, later on, Prabhu Vishnu Maharaj was able to go all over India to distribute books and put books in universities and libraries. Right. Harikesh would never make chapatis properly. They would never puff up. Right. He was always blaming something. Right. Either the stove wasn't adequate, or the flour was no good, or something. And Prabhupada was growing increasingly upset with him. Big brain, he would say, but he can't make a chapati. He can't make a chapati. Big brain. In Mauritius, Harikesh didn't have the right flour and had to cook in a closet on a weak electric hot plate. And his chapatis were like saucers, completely flat. and with the texture of rubber. Prabhupada was complaining about them, but Harikesh couldn't seem to do anything about it. This went on for months in different places, and Prabhupada kept chastising him. Every day he would say, again, no good chapati. Finally in Bombay, there was a gas stove, but Harikesh still couldn't get it together. Again it is a stove, Prabhupada commented. Srila Prabhupada Harikesh said, nobody can make a good chapati on this stove. Nobody? Prabhupada asked. Yes, Srila Prabhupada, Harikesh said, nobody. Prabhupada stood up, walked into the kitchen, and sat on the floor in front of the stove. Where is the dough? He asked. And he took the dough, formed a ball, squeezed it on the board with some flour, rolled out a chapati, put it on the pan, cooked it, flipped it over, put it on the flame, and nothing. It didn't puff up. So Harikesh, Harikesh exclaimed with a laugh. It didn't puff up. Prabhupada turned slightly and just looked at him. He gave me one of those looks that could cut you into 20 pieces. Harikesh later remembered, and I stopped laughing. Then Prabhupada grabbed another piece of dough, formed it into a ball, rolled out another chapati, threw it on the pan, flipped it over, and put it on the flame. This time it puffed up perfectly. He picked it up with a pair of tongs, looked at Harikesh, and threw it right into his face. No one can make a chapati. Right? He questioned and then stood up, cast down the tongs, and walked out in triumph. After the matter of the setback, land was resolved. Juhu land. Mr. Sethi, as instructed by Srila Prabhupada, had constructed a compound wall around the property. One morning, as we approached the temple on our way back from Prabhupada's morning walk, Dr. Patel pointed to the new 5-foot-high wall and told Prabhupada, seeing this wall, people are saying you have made a prison inside. No, Prabhupada responded, elongating the O sound. The prison is outside. Inside is freedom. No. Outside the whole material world is a prison house, but inside is freedom. You can completely be dependent on Krishna and have full freedom. Right. While Prabhupada was in Bombay, I arranged a program for him at the home of the Birlas, the wealthiest family in India. Mrs. Gopi Kumari Birla wanted a title for Prabhupada's talk, one that would appeal to their exclusive circle of friends. I prepared a list of a dozen titles, and Mrs. Birla chose How to Become Successful in Life. It was a telling choice, I thought. The invitees were already successful by ordinary standards, but still they were not satisfied. They wanted to become more successful. I went ahead with a few devotees to set up the arrangements for Prabhupada and the deities on the Birla's expensive lawn. We had prepared a high Vyasasana for Prabhupada and near it an altar with our small brass Radha Krishna deities. Prabhupada arrived in the Birla's white Mercedes and walked into the garden. When he saw that his seat was higher than the deities, he immediately had us remove the base of his asana. Addressing the Birla's family and friends, Prabhupada gave a transcendental definition of success. He said that Krishna had two energies, his inferior material energy and his superior spiritual energy. The material energy was Durga with 10 hands, brandishing 10 kinds of weapons, and the spiritual energy was Srimati Radharani. We were under the control of the material energy. And success meant gaining release from the material energy and being blessed by the spiritual energy, Srimati Radharani. Radharani and Durga, Prabhupada said, both are prakritis of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But one prakriti is meant for controlling this material world, and the other prakriti is meant for blessing the spiritual world. Radharani, the name has come from the word aradyate. Aradha means worshipping. Beginning from Radharani and her expansion Lakshmi in Vaikuntha, here we worship Mother Lakshmi Ji, the goddess of fortune, to receive some favor. But in the Vaikuntha world, there are many hundreds of thousands of Lakshmis. And with great respect, they engage in serving the Supreme Lord. So, we being expansions of the spiritual Lakshmi or Radharani, our duty is to serve Radharani. And through Radharani, to serve Krishna. This is the Krishna consciousness movement. We are missing this point. Instead of learning from Radharani how to serve Krishna, we are controlled by the other Prakriti, material energy, Durga, with weapons in her 10 hands. This is our position. These two Prakritis, Prabhupada is explaining about the material energy controlled by Mother Durga with her 10 hands, 10 wielding weapons in the 10 hands, and the interior energy, right, controlled by Srimati Radharani, who blesses us by the spiritual energy, right. Both are Shaktis, Prakriti of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One is meant for controlling the material world, and the other is meant for blessing the spiritual world, right. And then he explains about how the word Radharani came from aradyate, means worshipping, right. And how from Radharani, Lakshmi Ji comes and all are worshipping the Supreme Lord. So we are expansions of the spiritual Lakshmi or Radharani, so our duty is to serve Radharani. Right. And through Radharani, serve Krishna. Right. Through Radharani, serve Krishna. That's why we chant Hare Krishna. Hare means Radharani. Otherwise, we'll come under material energy. Right. In this material world, people do not know what is the aim of life. Everyone is very much expert to see his interest. Two businessmen, they are agreeing, but everyone is trying to see his personal interest first. This is called Swartha Gatim, that is natural. But Prahlad Maharaj says, Nate vidu Swartha Gatim hi Vishnum. Unfortunately, these materialistic persons do not know what is real interest. The real interest is Vishnu, how to serve Vishnu. As Hari Sauri later described, Prabhupada possessed a unique ability to link anyone from any walk of life to the common goal of spiritual attainment. His preaching was always perfectly suitable for the time, place and circumstance. To the leaders of this wealthy business community, he thus offered a pertinent example. The subject, Prabhupada said, was how to become successful in life. Krishna comes to instruct this simple truth that you are being controlled by the material energy. You give up this business and become controlled by the spiritual energy, and your life is successful. See, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said, Jivela Swarupa Hoy Krishna Nitya Das. But our disease is, instead of becoming Dasa, we are trying to become the master of the Prakriti. This is called the materialistic way of life. It will not make us happy at any stage of our life. The success of the human form of life is to understand our relationship with God, and we should act in relationship with God. Then our success of life will be achieved. This is the main purpose of our Krishna consciousness movement. Right? So Srila Prabhupada is explaining this at the house of Birla. Was a wealthiest family, right? That how to make our life successful instead of being controlled by the material energy. How we can be under the control of the spiritual energy, Srimati Radharani, and in that way be utilized in the service of the Supreme Lord. Right? That's our position. Our position is Gopi Bharta Pada Kamala Dasanu Dasanu Das, servant of the servant of the servant of those serving Srimati Radharani in her service to the Supreme Lord. Not to become master. Right. Those who come under the control of material energy, they think that they are masters. That because of my effort, because of my this, I achieved so much. Right? They think themselves as masters. So the success of the human form of life is to understand our relationship with God. We should act in relationship with God. Then our success of life will be achieved. This is the main purpose of Krishna consciousness movement. The Birla family was famous for the religious interests as well as the business enterprises, with opulent Birla temples prominent in most major Indian cities. And Prabhupada took the opportunity to invite them and their friends to progress to engaging in munificent transcendental activities. That is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission, he said. He wished especially Indians to take this job of preaching the teachings of Bhagavad-gita all over the world. Right. The mission is, they must be very, very merciful to all outsiders. That is India's mission. People are in darkness, tamasi. Bring them into the light. Tamasi ma jyoti gamaha. This attempt has been done by us individually with teeny effort, but it is becoming successful. But every one of us should become completely aware of this movement and take this mission. Right. They were already religious, the Birla family, so they had different temples in all prominent cities. So Prabhupada invited them to help in Mahaprabhu's mission, right? Especially preaching the message of Bhagavad-gita. Right? So pertinent when our December marathon is going on, preaching the message of Bhagavad-gita all over the world. That people are in darkness, tamasi, darkness. So they need to be enlightened by Krishna consciousness. Tamasi ma jyoti gamaha. And Srila Prabhupada considered his effort as a teeny effort, and it has become successful. So every one of us should become completely aware of this movement and take this mission. Prabhupada challenged his audience. Krishna said, "You just offer me a little flour and water. If you think we have got money, the money is for my enjoyment, and Krishna may be offered a little water and flower, that is cheating. Just because Krishna says, Patram Pushpam Phalam Tayam, just offer me leaf, flower, I'll be happy. Right? That doesn't mean that, okay, we have big palatial palace for us and we just give a small place for the Lord. No. Srila Prabhupada considers that as cheating. That is not good. According to your position, you must worship. Right? According to your position, you must worship. This is wanted. To become very big businessman is not an ordinary thing. It requires tapasya, very great labor, brain, yat tapasyasi. But the result, Krishna says, Kurushva Madarpanam. Right? Kurushva Madarpanam. So you are doing this big tapasya, but for whom? Kurushva Madarpanam. For the Supreme Lord. He is asking, give it to me. So there is no harm to become a very big businessman, earning money. That is all right, but you give it to Krishna. Then in any position, you can remain Krishna conscious. And if you remain Krishna conscious, then you will understand Krishna. At the end of his talk, Prabhupada asked several times for questions but got no response. I addressed the audience. The process of hearing and then asking questions is the way to clarify our understanding, just like Krishna and Arjuna. So actually we must have some questions in our minds, otherwise we would all immediately surrender to Krishna. Yes, Prabhupada said, either you surrender to Krishna or clear it by question. Still there was no response. So I ended the talk, and while other devotees showed a film on the lawn, Prabhupada and a small group of us were invited inside to have dinner. Ashok Birla, who had donated 3 lakhs of rupees for construction of the ISKCON Vrindavan temple, expressed his happiness with the evening's program. Then Mrs. Birla and her brother-in-law and Prabhupada's friend, Brijratan Mohta, laid us upstairs in the lift to a large, beautifully furnished dining room. When Mrs. Birla offered Prabhupada prasad, he refused. My heart sank because I feared that he might offend her by not accepting dinner and create an awkward situation. She again offered and again he declined. Finally, the third time he accepted, and I could see from the smiles on everyone's faces that he had both been playing their parts perfectly. She as a gracious hostess and he as a renowned sannyasi. Indian culture was so subtle and elevated. Right. Sitting at the head of a long, polished mahogany table, Prabhupada chatted with his host, complimenting them on the delicious meal and answering a variety of questions. After a cordial departure, we arrived back at the temple around 11 o'clock. It was a successful preaching engagement. But Prabhupada said to me that no questions were asked after the lecture, indicated a lack of interest on the part of the guest. The next morning, on his walk on Juhu beach, he commented, "Last night I explained at the Birla house that you have to change only your care of." Right? You have to change only your care of. What does it mean? Instead of care of the material energy, you have to change care of the spiritual energy. Instead of care of Durga, Radharani. Now we are under the care of the material energy, and you have to transfer yourself under the care of the spiritual energy. What time do we end? 8:30. So it's 8:31, 8:32. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.